Hello and welcome to Business with Let's Go. Today we're going to be talking about the factors that come into play when talking about the channels of distribution. So we're going to be talking about just a couple of channels of distribution really. So when you're talking about the channels of distribution, there are actually four main channels, and this is what we'll be talking about. So channel one is where you have producer, wholesaler, retailer, or consumer. I should say producer or manufacturer. And then, so the producer sells to wholesaler in large quantities. The wholesaler then breaks bulk, and they then obviously distribute this, items in small quantities to retailers. Consumers then purchase them from these retailers. So the odds are there is a potential to reach a large target market. The wholesaler is generally the person who can sell many retailers. They can sell to many retailers. So it means that you can have potentially lots of retailers without needing to have all these connections. Like, you don't need to call up this retailer and say, "Oh, would you be willing to to sell our product? Or would you be willing to sell our product to this retailer, that retailer, and the other?" And also, a lot of times, the retailers will be like, "Oh no, you can only sell to us." Which means that you cut that all out by saying to the wholesaler, because the wholesaler, obviously, if the wholesaler is a big enough wholesaler, then they then have this sort of thing. You're cutting out this sort of thing where retailers have power over you. When you're like, oh, to the retailer, "Oh, can you not make me put the prices so low? It's just we're having a bit of trouble, breaking even here, and it's just you're making a lot of money off our product, and it seems like maybe could you cut some of the profit you're making off our product and then say give us a little bit of money just so we can live?" And the retailer's like, "No." Then you can benefit that from the wholesaler. The wholesaler has his product there; they're able to have a little bit more say. Obviously, you lose all your say, but it is also more convenient for customers, as they can buy the product from a range of retailers instead of just having to rely on one shop. Because if you're a business, you may not have any customer loyalty. All your customers may all come from just people who come into the shop and just pick your product up. Obviously, that's not too reliable, because customers not coming back. That means, you never know. You might dry up. But it's the sort of thing you have here. Like, let's say you've got a channel that has 10,000 subscribers, but it regularly gets 1 million views. That's clearly people who are coming back, and they're not coming back, but it's clearly people are coming and doing that. Obviously, it doesn't tend to happen so much on YouTube because it doesn't really recommend you unless you're already big. Fine. So it also simplifies distribution. So it's a very simple distribution process, as the wholesaler stores the product and sells it in small quantities to retailers, rather than you having to do that. So if you're a producer and you have an order for this amount of products, you create those products, ship them off to the wholesaler. But if a retailer comes along and says, "No, I want this much," another retailer's like, "I want this much," and you have to take that order into effect. And if one retailer is like a week after this retailer, and it's like, oh, so more products now, but we just did a batch here. Okay. And so all these sort of things just makes it less kind of complicated. And in fact, sometimes that complicatedness can actually cost money. There's also cost involved in the disadvantages, because the product is more expensive for the customer. A markup is added for each of the stages of the channel distribution, which increases the price for the customer. If I'm buying a product and I know that it's gone through a retailer, a wholesaler, and a producer, I'm thinking, no, not that. Seriously, how much does this cost? Because I know the retailer makes a fortune. They're a big retailer. Wholesaler, I don't really know much about them, but they must be making a cut. And also the producer is also very successful. So that's 2, if not 3 people adding a pretty significant profit margin there, you're making quite a bit of money out of this. So how much does this thing actually cost? And you'll see that with a lot of technological items, for example. The cost for them is just tiny in comparison. Sometimes they're 1,000% of an increase. There's these massive price differences, and they're not helped by all these extra things coming in. Then you have the problem of customer feedback. See, the producers may not be able to obtain direct feedback from consumers because if you are buying from a retailer, you then have a problem with the product, or if you have a suggestion for improvement or whatever the case may be, you want to give back some customer feedback, whether that be good or bad, but you give it back to the retailer. Now the retailer may go, oh, you really didn't like this product, we're getting a lot of dislikes in the product, and then we just drop them. Obviously, that does not help a producer, because that isn't the retailer going, oh, actually, producers, they didn't really like this particular part. Would you change that up a bit? And maybe the retailer will be good, and maybe they'll go to the trouble of doing that, but generally, the retailer won't. And that's the problem. Because all these things, if you've got a customer feedback issue, that's going to happen. It's going to lead to a delay in the reacting of changes to for consumer demand. Because here's the thing. If a retailer goes, okay, your product is beginning to go down in sales, but then, first of all, the product needs to go down in sales. Then they need to register that it's going down in sales. Then they need to tell the wholesaler it's going down in sales. Then the wholesaler needs to tell the producer it's going down in sales in this particular shop. The wholesaler is dealing with multiple producers. They're also dealing with multiple retailers. They're not unlikely to unless, basically, it's unlikely that you'll be able to actually get this in time. There's also profits. A producer must give away some of its profits earned to the wholesaler. This reduces the profits this reduces the profits then received by the producer. Now, obviously, some producers make a fortune because they have massive money added to products. But the fact is, at the end of the day, there's still a lot of money that is being it's just gone because, you have to pay everyone's wages, and realistically, it doesn't really make much sense, but this is the way customers, and at the end of the day, that's the way they do things, that's the way it goes. So this challenge distribution is called the traditional method. This is what would have been used for many years, and it's still used today in many areas. Next, we have the second channel, which is producer, retailer, and customer. In this channel distribution, the producer sells direct to the retailer, thus removing the need for a wholesaler. The retailer can obtain discounts from bulk buying and therefore offer lower prices to consumers. The producer may also manufacture its own brand products for the retailer. So this means that the producer won't actually put their name on the product. And you'll see this with a lot of supermarkets will do this, where they'll say, oh, our, drink, our tinned thing, but it won't actually be theirs. They're not investing in a business. They're not doing anything at all, actually. They're just buying goods from a producer, and that producer packages it to have their name on it. So this is the kind of thing you have here, and it really it can cause problems down the line because customers go, oh, I really, really like this brand of such and such. But what they don't know is that producer is actually a producer for all these shops around this area. So you could buy, this shop's, product, or you could buy this shop's product, and with the exact same thing, because it's coming from the same producer. It's just that producer labeled it differently for those two shops, because that's those two shops ordered. A lot of the time, this is done with very big producers, because they don't really need a wholesaler to do that job. They already have loads of trucks. They already have loads of storage space. They already have all these big warehouses. They already have all these things that a wholesaler is offering them. So realistically, they're also big companies, so they kind of are known. So people want that product. They actually want that product, not the particular, not just the general product, but literally they want the company's product, and that means that they can have a little more way because they're able to just cut out the wholesaler. So instead of just being like, oh, this person sells eggs, it's this person sells their eggs. That's just an example. So the advantages are as follows. You've got your target market that large retailers buy direct from producers. This increases the size of the target market that producers can actually reach. There are also lower prices. Consumers benefit from lower prices as there are fewer stages in the channel of distribution. There's also promotion. See, a large retailer may have a nationwide promotional campaign, or international in some cases if they're a very big corporation. This can increase consumer awareness of the product and help to increase sales. However, you also have disadvantages. There are many discounts involved, possibly. Retailers may place pressure on the producer to sell them sell the products to them for a large discount. This can significantly reduce any of the profits the producer actually has. You also have transport. See, the producer may actually have this issue of how do you get the products to the retailer? Because if you're a major producer, you probably can cover the costs of buying a truck. A lot of businesses might need to rent trucks or do something like this or that, the other, or basically do all these sort of things, which can cost quite a lot if you're smaller. But if you're a big business, and you're saying to someone, that's probably fine. Like some of these disadvantages, they don't really apply so much to bigger businesses. Some businesses may not need to suffer any discounts because they might just go to the retailer store. No, you suffer those losses. No, you can make that a loss leader. We won't be changing our prices. And this is the thing you have here. Bigger businesses will oftentimes have those trucks because they can afford them. They can have that warehouse because they can afford it. But obviously for smaller businesses, if you're selling direct to retailers, you won't have that. You also have the major issue of copycat products. So if you're a producer and you make an original good, and it might be even a brand new good, no one's ever made this good before, so you're the only one, and maybe you might not be the only one in the world, but you're the only one in the area. Customers basically can't get your type of product elsewhere. So basically, that's all well and good. Yay, you're there. Number one, of course, don't rely on that. If you've got a business idea and it's a brand new business idea, and people you ask go, what, really? That I get that. That doesn't necessarily mean that people will get it, because there's a lot of issues being in there. So obviously, if you sell to a retailer, then maybe they will get it. That just still doesn't mean they will get it. Just don't be disheartened. Don't think your product is bad just because no one's getting it. That might just be other factors involved. But what happens if you are successful? Obviously, you may not be making too much money because you have to give all your money to the retailers, because you have to cut costs, you have to cut prices for the retailers. But you're very successful, and the retailer is seeing this, and they go, how about we just make our own brand of this? And they do. As long as they're not breaking any, copyright or, trademark or anything like that, laws, then they can do that, and then they just make that. And this obviously can cause a problem, because if you see this is the shop thing, you go, oh, quality, because there's quality and it's got all the buzzwords and all these things, and really they make a big push for it because obviously it's cheaper for them, and there's all these things, and at the end of the day they go, okay, yeah, no brand needed, all these things, let's go ahead, we don't really need you anymore because we've got everyone buying your product but in our version. Anyway, so that is really the main area there. So there are also more channels of distribution. We'll talk about them in the next video. Please do join us then. If not, you can view other videos. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel. That helps a lot, as just viewing other videos. I guess if you're not going to view other videos and you're not going to view videos in the future, I guess I'll say bye forever then, and enjoy the rest of your existence.